We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. How you feeling, Niesha?
Listen, I'm feeling great. I have my sparkling Martinelli's apple juice ready to pour to celebrate this joyous occasion. I'm so excited.
I'm looking down because I'm trying to see how I can actually share this as a watch party on my page, on my regular page, but it's not showing me how to do that. So as people come in, we'll see. Let me see. Let me go to the dashboard.
Okay.
So as people come in, we have two people, and I'm guessing it is Mom and Tiff. Hey, y'all. Tiff said to hurry up and get on because she has to watch Teen Mom.
We understand, Tiff.
I'm trying to figure out, hold on one second, because I want to try to do a watch party. I don't know if I'm going to be able to on my page. So just give me just a couple of seconds, because since a lot of our people, hold on, a lot of our people are on our regular pages. So I'm trying to figure out, I've done it before, but for some reason I don't know how. So we'll start in just a few minutes, y'all.
Oh, thanks, Mom. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
One more time. And I'm going to see how I can share or create. It's not letting me create a watch party, so it's okay.
It is okay.
Okay, but it's okay, but it's not. I'm trying.
Let's try while we have family only in here. It's okay, Mom and Tiff. Tiff, give us a few more moments. We're just
okay. So anyway, I was trying to create a watch party so we can get more people to come in, but since I'm at home by myself trying to handle everything, so it's just like forget it. So we'll just share this later. How are you feeling, Niesha?
I'm feeling rather splendid.
I too. So you are first-time author.
First-time author. Didn't think that, I mean, it was getting kind of hard to get to the finish line, but you pulled me on through.
Yes, we made it through. And Tiff, I see your message. Say we are live on All Good. Just a week ago, I just created one. Let's see if people come in. Thanks, Tiff. I wish I would have given you log in, because I don't know why it won't let me do it, but we're good to go.
Like, because I see a reflection in my glasses. Oh, this is better. Okay. Oh, it's still there.
Okay, I think I might have got it. Hold on. Watch live, share. Hold on. If it doesn't work on this, I'm good. Hey, Serena. Serena's in here. She said, "Congrats, ladies."
Thank you, Serena.
Can you start a watch party too? Okay, we're just going to be live on my page as well.
Awesome.
It's not telling me how to do it. We'll figure out for next time.
Yes. Because there will be many more next times, Lord willing.
Yes, many more next time. So we are celebrating August just a week ago. Has officially released today. And we are so excited to share this journey with everyone. So this is going to be the first of many conversations. Tonight's conversation is just Niesha and I, but we will be inviting other people to our conversations and on having a really, really good time.
Yeah.
We'll start off by telling you can get your own copy. Hey, Aunt P. Should say Aunt P waiting for his shout out. Listen, I'm behind the scenes trying to work everything. So this is the hard cover that is limited edition that is almost sold out. I believe we only have like 100 left. So I'm really, really excited about that we only have about 100 left.
Me too.
In the y'all are so funny. So we're gonna go ahead and get started over here. So welcome, you guys. You guys already know about the book. For those of you who may have joined and you're just learning, tell them what All Good Just a Week Ago is, Niesha.
So All Good Just a Week Ago actually started off in December. We were on the phone having just our normal daily kikis and just reminiscing on all of the bullets that we dodged. And, you know, by God's grace, we did not get hit per se with anything super crazy. And we were really able to navigate through those moments. And even though they were very, at the time, they were very hurtful, they were very confusing, very exhausting, we were able to pull from those moments really funny, hilarious moments within those crazy scenarios. And, you know, we just thought like, you know what? Folks are not really talking about what it's like to be out here on this dating journey and really giving like transparency. And you and I feel like the reason why we are so close and we have, you know, just remained so instrumental in one another's lives that we really do move in the spirit of being honest. And we wanted a book that was going to really convey what it's like for, you know, adults who are trying to navigate through, you know, relationship building in that journey, what that space looks like, and to know that it's not always a bad thing when something doesn't work out. Like it's also just important to keep in mind that when it doesn't work out, to just know that on the other side of this, you know, your good thing is en route. So
yeah, and not just that, we have so many friends that have crazy stories that we talk about all of the time. Some people will remain anonymous who share their stories, and some people will probably come on here and we'll have those conversations about their story. But it's just like we have so many crazy stories. And then I'm excited that we actually added men, because a lot of dating books are marketed towards women who are single, who men feel that they're vulnerable and they can just give them this book and give them these rules on how to get and keep a man. It's like, no, we have to all have a conversation and just talk about some of the things. So I love that men chimed in and shared their stories.
Me too. And I think too, that was also really good about just the concept of our book is that we're not bashing anybody. Like we're not coming off like, you know, all men are dogs and like all of this rhetoric that is very much the norm in a lot of dating books that are written by women about men, because they ain't dogs, not all of them. And, you know, the ones that you've come across that may have some doggish ways, that just wasn't your person. And it's okay, you know.
Also showing like sometimes we catch people in their moments of growth. You know, like I know some really, that's why we have the F-Boy chapter. And everybody who contributed to that chapter, I do, in my eyes, are no longer F-Boy, but F-Boy moments.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm so thankful that they were brave enough to say, you know what, I've had some F-Boy moments. I've messed up. You know, we have some guy friends who say, you know, guys know when they've let a good one get away, even if they don't admit it, you know, but having those types of conversations and having women understand that, but just knowing like, sometimes it's like, it has nothing to do with you why something didn't work.
Right.
Even if it didn't work out with somebody, even if they were F-boy or whatever, it's like, you can just leave peacefully and just learn from that. So,
yeah. And you don't have to harbor hate in your heart. I think that's also something that a lot of people, that's like an issue that men and women deal with. If somebody burns you emotionally, you kind of shut down and you're kind of like going into the next scenario a little apprehensive and you're like, I'm not too sure. And then you want to like maybe act out a little bit because somebody did that to you in the past. So, you know, All Good Just a Week Ago, I feel it's a really refreshing place to start if you're really trying to evolve in the way that you want to date, especially as it relates to how you want to be, you know, approached.
Yeah. Yep. And so we have some frequently asked questions. Some people knew that we were going live and they wanted us to answer some questions. And then we'll do Q&A at the end. So I'm going to grab my phone and go through just the first question. And then we'll share a couple of the stories that we really like in the book.
Okay.
So we kind of talked about the first one. Why did we choose to write this book? Someone wants to know the process of writing All Good just a week ago. So Niesha has wanted to be an author, right? For a while, right?
I have. And
it's no joke. The process of writing a book is no joke. Tiara's on here too. She knows that because she helped to go for yours. It's like, it can be a strenuous process. But for this book, we started out first getting stories from women, just like we just sent out an email, said, hey, we're looking for some funny stories. And we started writing ours in between. We started with the introduction and then kind of just went from there. And as we started getting more stories, that's when the book started kind of creating itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the ladies, they chimed in first, and then we got some of the men involved. And so really we just put out an email, and a lot of people, like at first we were asking people to type their stories out, and we saw that was kind of not going to happen. Like a lot of people were like, I don't have time to sit down and type a story. So then we said, okay, well, why don't you just voice record it? So a lot of the stories, I would say, Niesha, would you say about 90% of the stories?
I would say 95% of the stories. Who wrote into us? Not a lot, just a pinch.
Can't say everybody's name. There's 3 people, I believe, that wrote in. 3 people.
None of my people wrote in, and
hey,
sis.
She said y'all got me on Facebook.
Yeah. You and my I think that I would say like 95. And then, the thing is too, we were also really, super, thanks, Tiara. We were super knowing that, people are busy, like adults are busy. A lot of us are juggling work, and school, work, school, parenthood. And parenthood is its own entity that it needs. I mean, that is a nonstop job. So we were just really, wanting to get these stories from people, but we also didn't want to impose on their schedule and routines that they already have in motion. So it was very much, I feel like it became more of a cohesive project once we actually gained the footage, the audio messages from people to just kind of put these things together. Mm-hmm. That was, I will tell E, that was a labor of love, because I was like, I would literally call you and be like, yo, no, E will be like, hey, did you transcribe such and such story? And I'm like, oh, not yet. Because you have to figure that people are telling you stories. They're talking to you, right? So some of the stuff that they're saying is not necessarily anything that needs to be in the story. They're just talking, and it's like, it's just they whole lingo. So you have to take those things out because,
Yeah, that's the thing too. So it was transcribing, typing everything out, going back and reading it, editing and saying, okay, this is not appropriate for a book, or going back and saying, okay, we need it to flow. So to add a little bit more to some of the stories. So that was a process within itself. And then, going from there to having to edit it fully. We got a beta reader at first to like read some of the stories. So it was a nice process of editing, getting beta reading, and even just creating the book, because it's an independent book out of Don't Wait, Create LLC.
Hello.
So even that, having to get the book formatted and other steps that, we learned about during the process. We have a question From Tierra, what was the funniest and most memorable part of writing the book? You want to answer that first, Niesha?
Well, the funniest part, I feel like the funniest part was just going over the stories in my head of just how many times the Lord has snatched me up into some safety when I was just out here being foolish in the flesh.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, you know, just seeing red flags on someone and just not owning it. Like, you know, you're just going to sweep it under the rug. And then all of the things that led into the blow up, because each of these stories have a blow up moment, which is, that's the funny part, is the blow up moments. You know what I'm saying? Like me leaving my cousin's bridal shower, walking down, you know, it was just, so the dramatics of it all is very much, it's funny. And that's what made us even want to write the book in the first place, because we're like, this is like, so it's hilarious that we can laugh about it now, because at one point we were sobbing in the streets. Okay. So that was, I would say, was like one of the funniest moments. And the most memorable part of the writing, for me at least, was the fact that in the midst of writing this book, you know, we were in quarantine. We were dealing with the anxiety surrounding COVID. I also was recuperating from a very major surgery and having to have my sister virtually support me through those moments of like me falling asleep, you know, because I was super tired. And, you know, she's like, okay, well, I'll pick up where she left off type thing. So, and that just kind of just speaks to who Erika is. She is definitely someone who is going to pull you up when you find yourself, you know, needing an extra hand and needing some help. So definitely sisterhood through and through. We experienced that through this. So that for me was the most memorable part. Take it away, E.
I would say a lot of the stories are so crazy. So for me, it was just all of the funny stories that I'm like, did this really, really happen? Like, this cannot be real. Some of them I already knew about. But I would say that was funny. And like Niesha said, just going through, you know, replaying stuff that happened, you know, so when I'm writing like the rookie ball, and even giving my commentary on Niesha's story, which is the smooth operator, it's so funny, like writing and going through it. So Tierra said, we are having a book release dinner party in Dallas, watching together. Yes, thank you. All
right, what's up, Dallas?
We can't wait to come and do a book signing.
I know, in real life, whenever the Lord heals the land, okay, not second before.
Can't wait for you to read, Susie.
I know, and you're in the book, sis. You're in the book.
Yes. So let me go through some more questions that I received. How is this book different from most dating books? So we talked about that a little bit. Like I said, I believe it's different because we're not trying to market to like vulnerable people. This book, I would say, is genuine, and not saying that other books aren't genuine, but this is a very genuine book. Like we want people to have conversations. We want this to have purpose. Yes, it's funny, but we want to introduce a new school of thought, but not introducing those thoughts by giving you rules, you know, that we hear and cliches and things like that. So I think it's different in that way. And then it's also different because we provide commentary on the stories, but we invite you all to have commentary too, which is why, you know, in the coming weeks, you'll see us, we'll be having conversations with our friends. We'll be talking about some of these stories because even though we gave commentary in the book, we want to hear your thoughts too. Yeah. So that's why we say, like, we want you to join in on the conversation so we can have these conversations that need to be had. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I think that it's different. What about you, Niesha? You want to add anything to that?
Just that this is not a cheesy dating book. Like, it's not, we're not telling you, like you said, we're not telling you, oh, you have to do these things if you want to get this. Because there really is no perfect equation, because nothing is perfect, right? So I think that sometimes when you go into a dating experience, you're going into it with these expectations of perfection, and it just doesn't exist. Even as someone who is married, like, I'm not perfect, my husband is not perfect, but we're two imperfect people that are perfect for one another. So how do we get to that space of really like navigating, like you being with your person and the two of you all having like just a cohesiveness as to your needs and desires being met, and making sure that you just continuously promote that type of energy amongst each other, that it doesn't have to be this storybook type of format, because it's not realistic. So our book is very realistic, I think.
I think it's realistic. So now I want us to talk a little bit about our personal stories that we share in the beginning of the book. We won't read them because it's kind of long. It's a full chapter, so we won't read those stories. But just, you know, you had a lesson on red flags. So tell us about the lesson. If you could just summarize that in like 60 seconds, just the lesson that you had on red flags as it relates to your story. Listen, everybody is talking about Papi Chulo, okay? Papi Chulo. In my story, everybody's talking about Yaya. So, you know, when it comes to red flags, you know, what are some things that you learned?
For me, I learned that when you see the red flags, take note and act accordingly with those. You know, they're there for a reason. And the thing is, like, your gut, when people, you know, talk about, you know, I had this feeling in my gut. That feeling in your gut was the spirit telling you, like, this is not it. Like, this, you're trying to make this seem like a right thing. It ain't a right thing. And we have to really get to the point of knowing, like, okay, when you get that intuition, when you get that feeling, that whisper, however it comes to you, move on that. It don't matter what it's looking like on the surface. Move on that feeling, because I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's going to project for you what's going to come to fruition in the future. So
I agree. I totally agree with that. And I think with your red flag story, there's so many things that you learn. And I'm excited that other people will be able to chime in. Like my mom just said, her and my dad have been having some interesting conversations. And my dad, I'm sure, will have him on here one day, because
we must
chime in. And he said, we don't have no daddies to talk to.
I can't believe
just like how, you know, we as women, we know what we want, and we will ignore the red flag. We know the red flags are there, but sometimes we just ignore them because we feel like we're that woman that could change the red flags anyway, and we just ignore those red flags.
And you have to also, I feel like this takes time to really to get it. But a person will not change for you. They're not going to do that. They'll change when they're ready to change. And if you are the recipient of that change behavior, then, you know, good for you.
Or that change and it won't be sincere, and eventually that real person comes out.
Right. It's a temporary fix. Or as I say, you know, you with the representative. And who wants to be with the representative? You want to be with the real thing, however that's going to be.
The real thing. So your story is called, Niesha's story is called, why am I drawing a blank right now?
Smooth Operator.
Smooth Operator. How to
excited? Because you're excited. Because this is, you know.
So you guys have to see, we made some really fun videos too. But her story is a smooth operator. Mine is Rookie Ball, where I learned about situationships. And what I can honestly say about this book, after writing this book, I cannot enter into the same type of relationships. I'm not going to say relationships because the next relationship is going to be relationship, and we that like we moving forward. But I think the book, one thing that makes it interesting is because we have one author who's married, one who is still single, who has yet to be married, and we both share our stories. When it came to Rookie Ball, I was like, this story is so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, for me. But I said, you know what? If this is going to help somebody, to read this book, then I'm willing to be transparent and share that story. And I've already heard people like, man, I could relate to that. Or people who have said, man, I thought that I was in this alone, and I'm not. People think that certain things just happen to them and something's wrong with them. It's like, no, when we are dealing with human beings that are flawed, we all are going to have crazy stories. You might have like a few people who've never experienced anything crazy, but then they deal with other things in life, but it's just like to know that we're not in this alone, because it can be so discouraging sometimes. So, that's why I'm glad we were able to share our stories and also make it fun while bringing it back full circle. And we'll talk about that full circle piece in a bit. So another question is, what are our favorite stories in the book? I'm going to answer you.
Well, my favorite story in the book is The Wait.
Okay. And so share a little bit of The Wait.
Okay, so The Wait involved my last relationship prior to meeting my husband, Brian, and I was dumped. Well, first I was threatened. Okay, he threatened to dump me if I did not return back to my hometown of Chicago to give our relationship a chance. And I declined. I said, no, thank you. I'm not coming back to Chicago. You can't pay me enough to come back to the city. And so we broke up. He dumped me on Valentine's Day weekend, hence the book cover, where everything was all good on Valentine's Day, and then the following week.
So ironic, like the person who created the cover didn't even know that story when they created it. And it's just,
it was just meant to be. But no, that is my favorite story, just because of how everything lined up. And at the time, God was just basically talking to me one-on-one, like, you really got to switch it up. Like, you have to submit to me and do this differently. And I was just at a place where I was just like, you know what, I'm over this. This is crazy. Like, I was in a moment of insanity, with repeated behavior, expecting different results, right? So I just decided to switch it all the way up. You can read more about the switch up game in the book. I will not give that away. But the switch up led me to meeting my husband. And
I want to add to that story, to The Wait, because when you read the book, you'll kind of get a feel for our personalities. And Niesha, when she was dating, she was that person like, oh, this could be my husband. This could be the one, and it would be like, oh, like in Smooth Operator, oh, he cried in church. Man, he's so sincere. This could be the one. And so you see these different stories where Niesha's like, oh, this could be my husband. And then she changed her patterns. It was like as soon as she changed her patterns, she got what she wanted. It wasn't no rule, no 90-day rule, or figuring out if he's just you or not. It was none of that. It was just she changed her pattern. She already knew her worth, but she did not settle on what that was. So it's a very, very good story to read, and I love it because at the end of the book, at the end of each section, so the book is broken down into two sections, three parts, and the first part is for the ladies, because we still believe in chivalry, so we let the ladies tell their stories first. In that section, we have married couples share how they met their husband. So Niesha shares that going, the weight going into how she met her husband. And then Brian shares his story in part 2, where the men share how they knew she was the one. So I love it because we're not just providing these crazy stories and saying dating is horrible. We actually have like real life stories from some of our favorite couples. So I'm very excited about that piece. But yeah, the weight is definitely a good story. I would say for me, favorite stories, there's so many funny ones. There's a few that stick out in the funnies. One is when a young lady went on a date, and before she went on her date, she went on a date, they went out for sushi, but before that date, she was at this barbecue and ate like some really questionable food. And so she went on a sushi date after that. And then they went back to Netflix and chill, and she got really sick and threw up all in this man's bathroom.
It was on the walls. It was
like projectile vomit everywhere on the walls. Just such an embarrassing story for a first date. But what I love about that story is like they actually went on another date after that.
Yeah, he was a champ. He was a trooper because
he was a gentleman.
He really was.
He was a gentleman. So that's one of my favorite funny stories. And then one that stands out on the guy side that I can't wait to have this discussion because we do get spiritual in this book is the God Told Me You're My Husband story.
Mm-hmm.
That is like a lot of women. And after hearing this story, God told me, I've asked guys like, has a woman ever told you this? And they're like, actually, yeah. And I'm like, what? So that's a whole nother story. So I think that that's something to like dive into. So I'm really, really excited. But those are memorable stories. Let me see if there's any. Someone asked, where do we see this book going? Where do we see it taking us?
I personally feel like this is going to end up on a screen. Definitely could be a Netflix pickup for sure. I already know who I would want to play my character. So yeah, I definitely see this going to the screen because it's very, it's a convertible storyline, The thing that I really enjoy is that, it's so crazy to me that we live in a time where we want to show people things that we got going on, but we don't want to speak on other things that we got going on, right? And so at what point do we try to collaborate on these moments and help one another out to navigate through? My whole thing is like, I don't want somebody to like suffer in silence with something that I've probably already gone through that I can give them some insight on so that their journey is not as crazy and as chaotic as it has to be. Because like I went through that fire already. I can tell you, I can give you some pointers on how to get through. This book is
Era.
This book is totally that. Girl, we manifesting that, Tierra, okay? That's what I'm saying. I could see it as a movie, Netflix, however. But we want to help people get through these crazy moments. And it ain't got nothing to do with me like wanting to know your business or you like sharing your business or anything like that. But just putting it out there to people to say like, hey, me and E went through these scenarios and we got through the fire. We came out, so rather than to be that person to say, oh girl, I can't relate, or dang, bro, that happens to you. Like, cause we all have had moments, and that's the good thing about life is that you can have these moments, you can go through them, go through the trenches, you're in it, but you're going to come out on the other side better than what you went into it. So that's what we're speaking about in this book. Like, yo, it gets crazy out here, but there's a silver lining. It doesn't have to stay that way.
I agree. Another thing, I definitely agree. Everybody has said oh my gosh, this could be a movie. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people, even the girl who did my eyebrows, when I told her, she's like, that sounds like a movie. So I'm really excited about social. You're fine. Another thing I'm really looking forward to is the part 3 where we talk about kingdom relationships, because I know so many amazing friends that are single. A lot of them are amazing women, and they're praying and they're preparing and they're positioning themselves for their spouse. And so we talk about this in the book, where we're like, for every 10 women, maybe we know 10, or maybe we know 2 guys that we can introduce them to. And, we're not saying that those guys don't exist, because I believe there's so many amazing men, but I also believe that there's men who, we talk about the sleeping Adam in the book. There's men who God has called, but they're still sleeping. Some of them think that they have time. Some of them are just like, they have so many options, but really breaking down what that looks like for kingdom relationships. So I'm excited for the people who will be touched, but the men who will wake up because they saw this. And not everybody will. Like we say, I know there's certain friends who might look at this book and say, okay, this got too churchy for me. And I don't believe it's churchy at the end, because we made sure we still relate it. But there will be people who don't rock with that, and that's fine. But for the people who do, I'm so excited, because I believe this is going to change some patterns, because, we get real. We're not super wretched in the book, but we're real. Like when it comes to, matters of the church, like sometimes people are super churchy or they're super ratchet, right? So we talk about what's happening out here in the land, what's happening out here in dating, but then we're like, yo, we got to switch this up, because this is what God is calling us to do. So I'm really excited, because, when we wrote that piece, I was like, okay, how people gonna, view this? But the men who I know, like my cousin Marcus, shout out to Marcus. He loves the king. He's like, I really love that kingdom dating piece. I've never heard of that. So like, I feel like there's gonna be people who, rise up in their calling, and part of that will be from being with their godly spouse, So I'm really excited to like help change the narrative, to be a vessel to help change the narrative.
And it's also too, it's just us wanting to, have a helping hand in breaking generational curses. Mm-hmm. Because that is like such a real factor in a lot of our lives that we're not discussing. It's kind of swept under the rug. You feel like bad stuff keep happening to you in these particular areas. Like it keeps happening like over and over again. And we want to acknowledge what that really is. Mm-hmm. And in order to do so, in order to break these habits and to break these curses so that your lineage can look a different type of way, it has to start with the person that you're mating with, the person who you're linking up with. And so, we just want to be of encouragement. I think All Good just a week ago, more so than anything, is a book of encouragement that, we're very much telling you, like, yes, it gets wild in the land. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like peaches and cream. It gets a little, bananas at times. But at the same token, if you are open to receiving the very best for yourself and you're willing to date your worth. And by that, I mean, you're not with somebody who is not worthy of being with you. It goes on both ends for men and for women. Don't date down.
Yeah.
Don't do that, because ultimately at the end of the day, you selling yourself short,
You said that because we had a conversation the other day and you said something that stood out. I was like, how did you put it? When people date how they see themselves.
Oh yeah, you date your worth. You date your value. So whatever you value yourself to be, that's who you're with. Yeah. When I was with Smooth Operator, I was a very superficial person. On the surface, everything looked all good. It seemed as though. Okay. However, we then see that what they got me. You know what I'm saying? What did they give me? So, because at the end of the day, you want the best. I mean, that's what that's what a lot of people promoting on social media outlets. I want the best. I want to flourish. I want to live my best life. Well, that won't start until you actually start to attract those individuals in your life. But that's not even just like spouse, like your person. That goes for friendships, all of that. It's all wrapped into that. You know what I'm saying? Don't entertain people who are not willing to, make you a priority, period.
So before we wrap up, if you guys have any questions, you can ask those now before we wrap up. But here is the limited edition hardcover. Now you should tell them where they can find this.
www.allgoodjustaweekago.com.
And, next, so we only have, like I said, about 100 more of these, and maybe
we had that many left because they've been kind of like.
That's out of 500, and we haven't really promoted yet, y'all. Like, we've really just promoted with our friends and family. So now we're gonna, beef up the promotion, and so we'll also introduce. This is the paperback, and it looks just as good, and it'll be available for $22.99 on allgoodjustaweekago.com. So that's the paperback that we will have probably in the next week. So you guys feel free to go to the website. We are available on all platforms. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere you can purchase a book, we are available. But we strongly encourage you to go straight to our distributor because that will help the publishing company, which is independent, Black female-owned publishing company, that will help us grow and help us, it will really reward us for our hard work even more.
Shout out your publishing company.
Don't Wait, Create LLC. So it's a publishing company. You'll see more books coming out of it. And we'll also be working with people who want to create their own projects, specifically books. Just getting people, because it can be very challenging to write a book, but I believe you can. And not just write a book, but you guys see, this is like a nice size book. This is a
meaty book. It's a meaty book. Okay. It is not,
no shade to any. I'm still trying to figure out the camera on here, but it's like, you guys, we've all met somebody who's like, yeah, I wrote a book. And then you get the book and you like, okay, you still gonna support, but it's not like a book that you might see in Barnes and Noble. So just because you're independent, like, you can have your own hardcover book. It's going to take a few more steps. It might be a little more costly, but it's not impossible. So I'm excited to help authors become independent and create their own publishing company or figure out how they want to publish, because at the end of the day, this is a product for your business. It's not just, I wrote a book. It's like creating a product. So definitely support, allgoodjustaweekago.com so you can purchase directly on the site. If you have a book already, feel free to share with a friend or get a book, because this is like a really great book club piece. And if you join in and have conversations with your friends, we can definitely do that. And I'm going to put the website up for you guys. allgoodjustaweekago.com. So we are ready. We're excited. Do you have anything to add, Niesha?
I'm just thankful to God that He allowed us to first find each other again. Let's start there, because we lost each other. And just, we just picked up right where we left off in Carbondale, and we have not looked back. And it's very much a joyous occasion to co-author a book with your bestest friend. So
class. Yes. All right. Well, this has been great. We look forward to more conversations. We just wanted to, we were supposed to do like a little toast. I don't have anything in here.
Oh, you don't, girl? Are we saving the toast for the after party that's coming up next?
On Instagram now.
Comment. Yes, on
Yeah.
IG. Oh, okay. I mean, I have some Martinelli's sparkling apple juice
That's so funny.
and a little food.
So we will see you guys on the gram.
Yes.
Just a week ago.
See y'all. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.